Hi everyone, welcome to Mrs. Moskowitz's Art Room. Today I'd like to introduce you to a concept rather than just one artist, and I'd like to introduce sculpture. Sculpture, by definition, is a work of art that is three-dimensional. It has height, it's got width, and it's got depth. It's not just a flat piece of paper. Okay, a box is three-dimensional. It's got height, it's got width, and it's got depth. So there are many different artists who have done sculptures, and I'd like to start with an artist named Deborah Butterfield. And Deborah Butterfield was born in 1949, and she's an American artist. And her whole life she was fascinated by horses. So she does sculptures using found objects of horses. That's all she ever does sculptures of, is horses. She does them out of sticks. She's made them out of mud. She makes them out of metal. Anything that she can find, she puts together to create a life-size horse. Because she wants you to feel, and they're not all very realistic, but she wants you to feel like you could just crawl into these horses and be a part of them and be a part of the sculpture. So a lot of her horses, it's called found objects. Basically, it's recycled. It's objects that she finds just laying around to create art with. Okay. Another artist that I found when I was in Florida visiting my mother is Solomon. And not the Solomon from the Torah. Solomon, who is a Russian Jew, and he emigrated to the United States, and he wanted to become famous. And he built a castle that you can live in, and which he does, and it's all made out of printing plates that he put together to build this castle. And each couple of years he adds on more and more things to it, and it's very whimsical. It's an amazing place to go visit. They have a restaurant there that is a boat in a moat. He creates different objects out of bicycle chains and metal pieces that he just finds laying around, and he puts them together to make sculptures. Three-dimensional objects that have height, width, and depth. And they're whimsical. They're supposed to be fun. When you look at them, they're supposed to make you smile and enjoy looking at them. Here's another one, like Captain Hook. And he made several chess games, and this one is Where's Waldo? And he just walks along the road and finds anything that he can to make a sculpture out of. So my challenge to you is I want you to find things that we can recycle into a project. And I'll introduce it a little bit more later on in the week. But in the meantime, collect boxes, cans, jars, paper towel and toilet paper rolls, bottle caps, anything you can. And we're going to use them to create a sculpture. But since Deborah Butterfield was so much into horses, I'd like to demonstrate how to draw a horse, because I think it's important to know the anatomy of something before you try to create it. So, a horse is made up of shapes, just like anything in the world is made up of shapes. And we're going to start our horse out with 3 circles. A medium circle, a larger circle, and a smaller circle. Okay, that's going to be our horse. And what we're going to do is we're going to join these circles together and add other shapes to them to make our horse. So I'm going to draw a line in there and another one there to join those two circles. I'm going to join one here and one in there. So all three of my circles are joined. And then I'm going to start adding other parts to make this look more like a horse. So a horse's face comes out a little bit more with like a rectangular shape. He's got triangles for ears, and he's got two ears, one in front of the other. He's got, remember, like we said, for a face, it's like a football shape for an eye. His legs are going to come from his stomach on down to where his kneecap is there and come down to the ankle, and then they have hooves. And I'm going to join into the body. Then the other leg, which would be behind this one, would come out. We now have two legs. This leg up in here. With a hoof at the bottom. And coming up to join that circle. And then one other leg behind there. So we now have 4 legs. We have the body. We have the head. We have ears. We're missing his tail. The tail comes off back in here. And then when you erase all of the guidelines and start adding a little bit more detail into it, you will have a finished horse. So you can see I added a mane in. I added some shadowing into the ears. Added some hair in the front. Little bit of dimension to it in the hooves and in the legs. And added more lines into the tail. Erased my guidelines. And you have a horse made out of 3 circles. So when you're collecting your objects, think about an animal that you might want to create and what objects you might need to create that. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me at Mrs. Moskowitz's Art Room. I look forward to our project later on in the week. Bye.